Tech, and then we'll get into the heart of the matter. I'm being assisted by two colleagues. Roy Bibosh is our APAC Solution Consultant Manager, and Edwin is based out of Indonesia, and he's one of our solution consultants. So without further ado, I'll take you through a couple of slides so we introduce ourselves as a company. Next slide, please. So the Tech Data Corporation, there's one slide with sort of a super summary of us, which is the next slide. We've been in business for 45 years as a distributor for IT solutions. We today are a company with a revenue of $37 billion. We're part of the Fortune 500. We have over 125,000 resellers that deliver our products to end users. We deliver over 150,000 products to the market. We today are only interested in one solution, which is Autodesk. We operate in over 100 countries. Our organization has a little over 14,500 employees. And for the last 11 years consecutively, we've been named as one of Fortune's most admired companies. Next slide, please. What we do is quite simple. Our purpose is to bring technology to the world. Our vision is to deliver that technology through a channel and enable that channel and reach out to the end users. And our mission is to make the channel and the end users successful. Next slide, please. The Tech Data company exists of 6 business units. And the 3 of us, so Edwin, Roy, and myself, are representatives of the Tech Data unit called Datech Solutions, which is the one in red. And Datech Solutions is a global business unit within Tech Data with one focus only, which is Autodesk and the Autodesk channel and Autodesk end users. Next slide, please. So that brings me into talking a little bit about Datech before we go into the products. Next slide, please. So Datech Solutions has been a distributor for Autodesk for the last 15 years, starting in Europe. We are a specialized global business unit, a value-added distributor for Autodesk design software. We support and enable resellers and end users in the successful implementation of solutions. We have a value-added go-to-market model, both for the Autodesk resellers as well as for the Autodesk end users. We deliver critical business information through a world-class digital distribution system so that resellers can help end users manage the life cycle of their licenses, since everything is subscription nowadays, so it has a start date and an expiration date. We are also globally the distributor for the learning centers of Autodesk. We have an identical fiscal year to Autodesk. So our fiscal year is not identical to a calendar year. Our fiscal year starts February 1 and finishes January 31st. And Autodesk's fiscal year also starts February 1 and finishes January 31st. So today in March, we are in our 2nd month of our 1st quarter of what we refer to as FY22, fiscal year 22. Last year was fiscal year 21 for us, and we drove $1.5 billion of software to end users globally. And to put that into perspective, Autodesk global business was $3.7 billion. 70% of the $3.7 billion is channel business, so roughly $2.7 billion is channel business. And so we do a little over 50% of the Autodesk channel business globally. Next slide, please. We have a global representation, so the total organization of Tech Data is over 14,500 employees. Our business unit is just under 300 employees. For you, most importantly, is the APAC bit. We have 71 dedicated specialists in Asia Pacific, more specifically in India and in ASEAN. So let's further qualify ASEAN for today. In ASEAN, we have 43 employees dedicated to the Autodesk business, 16 of which are solution consultants, which are amazingly well positioned to support end users in their journey to implement and maximize the usage of Autodesk software. Next slide, please. Autodesk, of course, as you know, makes software to design, to make things. They are the global leader in architecture, engineering, construction, media, and entertainment and manufacturing industries. If you've ever driven a high-performance car, admired a towering skyscraper, or used a smartphone or watched a great film, chances are you've experienced what millions of Autodesk customers have built with their software. Next slide, please. Currently, the strategic update for Autodesk is to accelerate digitization in the architect, engineering, and construction market. Then a second big movement, which we'll talk about a little bit today as well, is that there is a convergence of design and make in manufacturing. And there is monetizing of digitization going on along the world. These are the three big endeavors that we see today in the way the software is evolving and the usage is being evolving as well. Next slide, please. So with that, I'd like to come to the end of the introduction of both Tech Data and Datec. I think it's more important that we talk about the Autodesk solutions today, and I'd like to hand it over to Roy, our APAC manager for solution consultants, to kick it off with the content around the Autodesk solution. If there are any questions, please feel free to just ask them.
Thanks, Jaap. And first of all, welcome to all of you. And today, next kind of 90 minutes, we'll be taking you through to the entire Autodesk solution portfolio. But before that, could you just start a quick poll questions so that we make it interactive and more interesting? Nikki, you'd like to start the poll questions?
There, I think the first one has just been launched.
Yep. Okay.
We're just waiting for some responses. So everybody, I think you should see the poll on your screen now. If you could just click yes or no. All right. Okay, I'll launch the second one. Here we go. All right. And I think one more. All right. Okay, cool.
Okay, thank you for all the replies and participation in the poll questions. Now, Edwin, can you go to the next slide? Just pause for a while. Yeah, so before we start even to talk about the Autodesk solution portfolio, let's see a quick video which covers all the industry segments and also make it exciting for all of you. And then we'll start narrating that. Yes, Edwin, please play.
Let's go.
Yeah, so we have seen like it is starting from the building, then media and entertainment, whether it is film or creating animations, automobile, everywhere, whatever the things we have been using, as App was mentioning, Autodesk is there in terms of contribution to make all these things, make it happen. So it is not only make it happen, starting from the design and then make it happen. So a little bit more about Autodesk, more on the background side. Next slide. So I think most of you know, or probably just let me reiterate that it started 39 years ago in America. So before that, engineering drawing was quite popular, right? Everybody was using from any segment of the industries, and it was mostly drafter, white sheets, and so on. Then the idea started: what is the best way to do the automation of this manual work so that everybody can go back to their home on time, and also it makes more productive. So from there, the fancy idea started, and people started calling it, okay, what is the best way to automate the desktop? And this is where the name came, Autodesk, automating the desktop. So it started with 16 employees, and only one software was in the title called AutoCAD, which we almost everybody know. Next. So from then to now, Autodesk is having more than 100 products, or rather I would qualify this as a products or solutions. 12 million over professional users who are using this in industry, irrespective of their vertical. 200 plus million consumer users. So it's like some of the users probably not using at a large scales, but using at a low scale and also in terms of their own interest. But a majority of them are consumer users. That's why 200 plus. Now, if I go beyond that in the student and educator community, you can see the figure goes 680 millions. So this is where Autodesk took a big part, make it available to the students and also educator to learn it, to adapt it from their early student life so that this can be used in the industry when those people are started working, right? Next slide. So as we have been talking, right, whether it is automobile, whether it is building, whether it is infrastructure, road, railway, highways, bridges, dams, and also into the movie industry, everywhere Autodesk has a part to play, especially into the design part, so on for last 20 to 25 years. And now slowly Autodesk expanded their solution portfolio to make it work and support the make and also after make support, right? Next, please. So when we talk about, I have been talking about products and solutions. So now solution is something uh, most of the time one single product cannot meet all your challenges or anybody's challenges, right? So club of summation of solutions, so club or summation of products make a solutions, and that's why the concept came as solutions, and from there, as I said, it's a summation collection concept came. So it is majorly having three collections, one target for architecture, engineering and construction industry, another for the product design and manufacturing industry, and the last but not least, it is mainly for media, entertainment and visualization industries. So collection is nothing but a summation of some products catered to meet the industry challenge or particular need. Next. So with that, I would like to introduce or request Edwin to start talking about architecture, engineering, and construction solutions or collections. Edwin, over to you.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you for having us to speak about Autodesk solution in this event. Okay, I'm going to talk about the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. Before we start, let's see a quick video of what Autodesk customers have achieved by using Autodesk solution in AEC industry before we start. Okay, so uh, now let's see the industry challenges in AEC. Today we have global population of 7.5 billion with 3.5 billion of us living in the cities. By 2050, nearly 10 billion people will live on the planet, and two-thirds of us will live in the cities. All these people need communication and transportation. They need houses, bridges, roads, access to water and power. As in as an industry, okay, sorry, can you
Edwin, can you speak a little bit louder?
okay,
Sorry. Yeah.
okay, is it loud enough now?
Yeah. Better.
As an industry, we will have to build 13,000 buildings every day and enough roads and rail to wrap around Earth 30 times every year. All of this between now and 2050. Not only we will need to build new housing, offices, railways, and all the facilities, we need to maintain, improve, and to protect our current built environment. Right now, there are over 4 trillion US dollars assets at risk due to the climate change. The UN estimates that by 2050, more than 5 billion people could suffer water shortage, and 90% of the world cities near the coastlines exposed to the floodings. While this is a huge challenge for the world, it is also an opportunity for the AEC industry. Just imagine how many more building infrastructure projects need to be designed, built, renovated, and retrofit. But we also face the reality of less, such as labor resources. In places like the US, Japan, Europe, AEC companies are having trouble finding the skilled workers need to deliver projects. In the US, 20% of the construction workforce is about to retire, and 35% of architects are over of the age 55. And the reality of fewer natural resources. Building alone consume 25% of our water, and building construction produce 30% of all global waste. 40% of global energy is used by our built environment. As from the business perspective, we also have a lot of challenges. What I want to highlight here are the eroding profit margins due to the time spent on rework and time invested to bid for RFPs. Productivity suffering due to time spent on design reviews and iterations. Projects are now becoming more complex. Traditional 2D practices and siloed ways of working are insufficient, and there is growing recognition of the need of for transforming how works get done. These are questions that we are asking a lot because we believe that along with the certainty of more, the reality of less, there is the opportunity of better. 39 years ago, Autodesk introduced AutoCAD and started creating software tools to help people with design challenges every day. In the early 2000s, Autodesk introduced 3D modeling and BIM-based design. Today, Autodesk is developing tools for cloud-based BIM model process, and we call it a connected BIM. Our AC customers use these tools to collaborate better and manage their data from the office to the field. And now Autodesk is moving towards to the future of making. Autodesk allows you to work with manufacturing solutions along with your AEC constructions. The thin line between these two industries allows you to work with the best of both worlds. These are the benefit of BIMs as surveyed by
Edwin,
McDowell.
can you go back to the previous slide? Let me narrate a little bit more over there.
Yeah.
So as we have been talking about, Autodesk started like 39 years ago, and that time the concept came from CAD, purely it was 2D CAD, and then slowly with the time, for all the industry, 3D has evolved, right? And from the 3D, particularly for architecture, engineering, and construction industry, BIM concept came, right? It is building information modeling. Now, it's kind of digital build. The main funder of the beam earlier when started just to take out the quantity takeoff or the QS to use as per with the 3D model. Now it evolved a lot. It expanded in many segments of the construction life cycle, and that's where connected beam concept came. It is basically beam along with the power of cloud. I think someone asked already the question, what about the hardware? Because we all know the more design intensive, it requires significant amount of computing power. So, and every time it is not possible or practically almost impossible to upgrade your hardware. And that's why the infinite amount of computer spacing came into the picture by use of cloud computing. And not only that, it started connecting all the stakeholders in the construction industries to work on a same model, which is called as a BIM model. Somebody call it as digital prototyping. And basically the idea is to connect everyone to work on a single model and all the associated documents with that. Now, as we said, it has gone beyond to design to make. So that is kind of future of making. I wouldn't say it is future because we already started doing that. It is a present scenario at this moment. So let's talk about the building equipment manufacturing industries. We all know about modular concepts. So everything has been designed, some part of the world, it's been made, and then it has been transported and fitted into the a larger building. So the design process started even using the Autodesk solution, and this is where Autodesk manufacturing and AEC convergence come into the place. So if you see the journey back from 2D to 3D, 3D to BIM, BIM to connected BIM using cloud computing and data collaborations, and now it has gone beyond by facilitating convergence between AEC manufacturing for the making contribution. Yeah. Next, Edwin, over to you.
Okay. Can you hear my voice? I think there is some problem with my mic.
Yeah, is it better? It is better a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Roy, for the additional information. These are the benefits of BIM as surveyed by McGraw Hill Construction. It shows that BIM bring great benefits for the construction industry. It gives better understanding of design proposals, fewer errors related to design and construction, well-reasoned design via simulation and analysis. All of this because the information are passed with the integrated system along in BIM. Van Wijnen family business in the Netherlands, which builds a lot of property, including affordable net zero energy housing. By fully adopting BIM, they figured out how they could eliminate waste and lower costs. And they did not stop there. They decided to think more like an automotive manufacturer and develop a modular concept for housing that could be used in many different configurations. They invested in building a catalog of component parts and use manufacturing processes to build these components better. Begin to embrace the new processes and technologies that will define the things we make and how we work in the future. Now let's see Autodesk answer for the challenges and requirements. Autodesk AEC Collection is the Autodesk Essential software for AEC professional. It has all of the software in one software bundling. It provides the solution from conceptual phase, design phase to the construction phase. First, let's talk about building information modeling or BIM. It is a method that offers a better way to share information along the design and construction phase. In the past, we share separate information in 2D drawing, spreadsheets, and other documents. Working with desegregated information takes time It's tedious and prone to error. With BIM, all of the information is integrated into a BIM model. Having better information allows us to have better decision and better design quality. It allows us to resolve issues before we go to the construction site. It will reduce reworks, waste, and in the end will lower the construction cost. To utilize BIM, you need a specific tool. Autodesk has Revit for building, InfraWorks, and Civil 3D for the infrastructure. AutoCAD that we know now becomes more robust. It's not only manual drafting on a computer, but now has specific tools. These tools provide intelligence to your drawings, whether you work on a mechanical design, architecture design, electrical schematic, GIS map. AutoCAD has all the right tools. Before the design started, we need to create a concept or do a preliminary design. Autodesk has conceptual tools that allow you to explore design alternatives quickly. Even if it's at the very beginning of the design phase, you can use real-world context and use simulation and analysis tools. In this image, we create a building mass and see how the surrounding area can affect your design. Having a better picture at the very beginning will reduce the design iteration. Autodesk also has comprehensive and integrated analysis tools. The BIM model from Revit can be analyzed directly in the robot structural analysis if you need to check if it conforms to a specific design code. If you are designing an energy performance driven building, you can simulate the energy analysis inside. Navisworks allows you to check if there's any clash in your design. Being able to identify the issues before the construction starts eliminates reworks on site that will cost a lot. Okay. Fabrication also a crucial process during construction. We need to create the fabrication parts with high precision on shop floor. Autodesk provides this advanced steel for steelworks, creates the required detail drawing and NC files automatically that you can use on your machine. Photorealistic rendering has been a common way to communicate our design. It is easier because we can experience the design before it's even built. When you need to create a photorealistic rendering, Autodesk has 3D Max. Your BIM model can be opened directly in 3D Max for visualization purpose. 3D Max is a 3D software that can produce rendering with cinematic quality. We see a lot of box office movies using 3D Max. Many of major visual effect company are using it right now. When you're working on existing condition, it will take time to model the existing condition. Many of the buildings were built before the BIM era. Some of them even built before AutoCAD is common software. So many of them are still on paper drawing, or sometimes you don't have any documentation at all. In infrastructure, doing an aerial survey also tedious and takes much work. With reality capture technology, you can capture the existing condition using LiDAR scan or photogrammetry from drone images. So basically, you can convert from image from drone or even from your phone camera into a 3D object. Reality capture also gives a better understanding of the existing condition. To sum up, these are Autodesk essential tools for AEC professionals. So we have all the specific tools for your design phase. Tools that you can use from the conceptual, design, and construction phases. Okay.
Edwin,
yes.
can you go back to the earlier slide once more, please? Sorry about it. Yeah, thanks. So when you're talking about Beam, so it is having three segments. One is Revit, and when you say Revit, it is altogether building, MEP, and also your structure, right? So earlier Revit was disciplined like architecture, separate software, MEP separate, and structure separate. Now all combined. So if you have a Revit license, you can do all these things under one unified platform. That means that gives you more data interoperability and facilitation for the aggregated model. Now, Civil 3D is majorly used for the infrastructure projects, and then if you have infra work, so it is mainly used for the cross-country highways and bridges on the web. Again, it's an application on the cloud. So Revit and AutoCAD is desktop-based, whereas InfraWorks is fully cloud-enabled software. Now, I think you would have listened those terms apart from BIM, VDC and IDD, right? Virtual Design Constructions and Integrated Design Delivery. So it is beyond BIM, and the moment we say virtual design and constructions is part of digital twin, and we need to have a system to experience the building or anything we are trying to build even before it has been built originally. That's when we need a virtual reality arrangement. So with the help of visualization solutions apart from rendering, we have that capability as well to support the VDC and IDD initiative of any kind of building or InfraWorks projects. And now we have moved a little bit ahead from the standard design process, starting from the conceptual design. Dynamo Studio and design, generative design by Revit gives you automation capacity and capability to make it more quickly and also more foolproof. It's the design, bionic design given by the software based on the boundary condition you key into the system. So it's again, let me clarify. It doesn't take away the need of the designers or architects or structural engineer. What it does is it gives you the best option based on the criteria given. So it's more intelligent, but end of the day, you still need the engineers to decide which iteration of the model or the drawing would be more suitable for particular that design build. So in all, what I'm trying to say is that by means of collections, it is aligned, it is arranged in a way that it can do way better than CAD and BIM. And it supports VDC, IDD, automation, generative design, and last but not least, global collaboration using cloud computing. Okay, Edwin, over to you again. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talk about the design tools. Now let's see the collaboration and document management tools. So Roy also mentioned about PDC. So we with CDE or common data environment, we can deliver the documents in a virtual document, no longer using paper. And the most common platform to do that is CDE, Common Data Environment. So let's see about the issue that the challenges that we face in collaboration. This schematic is a typical workflow in a construction project. The stakeholders share data using USB stick, email, WhatsApp, or even hard copies. It is difficult to keep everyone on the same page. They often use the old version of construction documents. It causes many issues in the construction field. Autodesk offers the data-centric solution, BIM 360. So every stakeholder shares the single source of truth. Everyone sees the same version, and they are all saved in BIM 360. Because it is cloud storage, it can keep the office and cloud in sync, solving the challenges of collecting, coordinating, and communicating changes and versions. You can anytime, anywhere access the documents using your desktop. You don't even need to install anything. You simply just open your browser, either using Chrome, Firefox, or Edge, login, and you can see the files. You can also use mobile device using tablet or phone. Phone might be too small, but bringing tablet to your site is quite convenient. Okay. So you can view the documents. You can also do markups, create issues, all from your mobile device.
Edwin, probably you
Yes.
can stop your video. That will gain you more connectivity.
Yes,
Yeah.
have a video after this.
No, I'm saying you can kill your video because your voice is
Okay,
breaking. Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Okay. So it allows you to put your data at the center of your project and easily transform that data into valuable insights. With this foundation, you will be able to position and take advantage the innovation that we already seen before. Now let's see the following video to see how BIM 360 works.
Today's design and construction projects require disparate teams to collaborate closely so they can complete projects on time and on budget. But with distinct teams come data silos and disconnected communication. Autodesk BIM 360 removes these barriers with a single platform that connects design and construction processes and project teams in one place. BIM 360 Docs is the entry point to this centralized platform, providing the entire project team with the information they need to get their job done. With BIM 360 Docs, teams can publish, manage, and share documents of all file types in one centralized location with unlimited storage in the cloud. Provide controlled access to information to the people that need it, when they need it, and in the format they want, either 3D or 2D. Perform design and constructability reviews with version control with automatic slip sheeting, hyperlinks to other drawings and documents, and powerful compare tools to quickly visualize changes. And add comments, markups, and measurements to drawings and models, along with identified design issues to collaborate with the team and keep the project moving. With BIM 360 Docs, project teams have the right information at the right time, keeping projects on time and on budget. BIM 360 Docs is part of Autodesk BIM 360, the only cloud platform that connects design and construction teams, processes, and data to inform decision-making, improve outcomes, and accelerate project delivery. Experience the power of a connected project. Try BIM 360 today.
Okay, so BIM 360 extends the value of the design data throughout the plan, build, and operate phases, letting project data flow seamlessly across the lifecycle and making it available to the team in the right place at the right time. Okay, so that's all for AEC. If you have any question, you can try to answer now.
Yeah, let's pause for a while before we dive into the design and manufacturing. If you have any questions, we can type that in chat or we can talk about it. We are quite glad to take on those. Nothing from anyone?
Any questions from the group? All right, Lizanne has posed the question to the group.
Yeah.
So who among the startups is currently using or is planning to use CAD or BIM?
Anyone aware, are you using at least AutoCAD? You can just say simply yes or no.
Okay, so we
Yes,
have
okay.
Dynamo and Billion Bricks.
Yeah.
Sampang as well. Okay.
So when you're saying CAD means what? Are you using 2D or 3D? 2D. Okay, understood. So it's AutoCAD basically.
I think it's very, hi everyone. I think it's so interesting also to see who is using CAD or 2D or 3D because I sometimes wonder how new BIM is. One of the biggest real estate developers in Europe actually just started to use connected BIM like 3 years ago, which in my opinion is like so laid back. So I just wonder how we can speed up also, you know, with the new innovations that we are using 3D. Is the implementation or the transfer very difficult?
Not really. So yes, that's a very great question. So only software doesn't help any industry to adapt that. So along with the software, you need the right person to do the handholding and mentoring and to work on a real-time project. And that's where data solution plays a big role alongside Autodesk. We, as Jap mentioned, we have technical people all over the world and also including this part of the world. So we have a proper adoption roadmap in place for the customers who are willing to invest into the solutions and select a pilot project. We help them to do that. So in total, the learning curve is not that steep, but what we need is a right platform and also dedicated person to try out all these solutions for a real-time project rather than just not learning as a training. Then it is more fulfilling.
So it could be one like touch point also with like some Pangan or My Dream Home or Billion Bricks to evaluate if it would make sense to go from 2D to 3D, or maybe the startups already have done that.
Yeah, I see some of them already using HANA. From Sampangang is using Revit. So yeah, definitely we are glad to connect with them as required. Okay. Any other thing from anyone? Okay, let me ask a question. So in your projects, I know you have a very good cost to create affordable accommodation for the large portions of populations, and also importantly using the environment friendly equipment. So I guess to be able to do that, you need lots of collaborations. Anyone are facing any collaboration challenges, or you are using desktop or using emails? Anything on that?
Yeah, when you use the word collaboration, I think you're referring to just sharing of information, correct?
Yeah.
In
Okay.
any form.
Yes.
Because otherwise the word collaboration might sound too ambitious. This is just about sharing PDFs, sharing designs, sharing bill of materials, sharing folders even. This is about sharing information in a structured manner.
Yeah. Okay. So somebody, yeah, you're right. So it's basically information exchanging and sharing. So some of them are saying we are small, it's still manageable. Okay.
Yeah, so when you talk about sharing, initially, of course, you talk about sharing within the organization between colleagues, and then uh, between departments if the organization is a little bigger. Of course, when we talk about sharing, and so when does it make sense to have a platform like this is when you start sharing with organizations in your supply chain, right? Your vendor is sharing information with you, or you work with another subcontractor for the piping or the or electricians, and you need to share information with each other. And then you start sharing beyond the walls of your own organization. So for those that are doing 2D, certainly 3D could be a consideration. For those that are already working in 3D or are looking at Revit, then a sharing platform could be a consideration.
No, even
Baby
for
steps are best.
yeah,
Go
even for
ahead,
2D
Ron.
also, like if you are like if you need to share that or exchange your drawing with third party, whether it is your supplier or your vendors, sometimes your customers, it is at times it is quite cumbersome to send all these things by email, right? And also top of that you have a security issue. So that time any kind of cloud-based collaboration platform could be quite useful for you, make your life quite easy.
Yeah, you'll have less security concerns, and certainly you know which iteration of the design you're working on, and that you ensure yourself and your co-workers and others in the supply chain that you're working on the latest version of the design. And then it doesn't matter if it's a 2D or a 3D design. You're just sure that you're working on the latest design.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then if there is no more questions, let's uh, go into the product design and manufacturing segment. So again, before I say, let's look into a small video to see the coverage and where Autodesk solution takes part into that. Yeah, Edwin, please. Yeah, so just now we have seen a fascinating video, right? So let me talk a little bit about Industry 4.0. So we all know and familiar about these terms. So this is another industrial revolution going on. Everybody's talking about smart manufacturing. Everybody's talking about IoT, Internet of Things. So in basically, what is the overall idea? We need to do more by the less resource. So it creates an opportunity, it creates a challenge at the beginning, but it's an opportunity for all of us. So that is the overall idea. We have a limited resource, but on the other side, the demand is going more and more every day. So somebody, I mean, it's again like the way you think. For somebody it is a challenge, but for most of us, it is a kind of opportunity, and we start thinking. And from there, all these automation concepts, smart way of doing things came up into the picture. And why I'm talking about all these things, because Autodesk Solutions portfolio has a big role to play into all the aspects of these major initiatives by the industry, whether you are for building, whether you are manufacturer of small machines, and starting from small, medium enterprise customers to big conglomerate. Everybody can adapt all these things, all these technologies, and take the benefit of this irrespective of their size and the nature of the business. Next slide, please. So we have been talking about things. So things also changed. Even just simply think about the toothbrush. 20 years ago, we used to make use the manual toothbrush. And now people are talking about, we already using the automated toothbrush, which is a battery operated. Then second thing, we look into our, or probably the first thing in our smartphone, right? Then we drive the car, which is having sensors to capture all the data. And so nowadays in Singapore and in some of the countries, we are talking about driverless car or capturing all this. So things changed, are continuously evolving and changing. And so the way it has been made also changed big time. Making of the things are changing. And when things are getting changed, the way is to be made and is being made are changing. The work, the future of work is also changing. So it is not anymore future, it is present and it is continuously evolving, right? Next. So with that, design and manufacturing comes into the picture in a big way, because most of the times we live in the building, we need infrastructure, but we cannot neglect the small and big things what we use in our day-to-day life, starting from your consumer products to industrial machineries, the car we drive, automobile and transportation, and also the building product and fabrication. So this is particularly for your industry probably. So you are there with a very good cost to create a sustainable accommodation for the larger popularity. But for that building, for this building or accommodation, you need numerous amount of building products, which is fabricated, modulars. And so this is where again, I would like to reiterate, manufacturing and AC industries convergence come into the picture. So in total, it is a digital manufacturing, which is nothing but a digital twin. That means you almost experience the same product even before it is been made and gone through a costly manufacturing and supply chain process. So what is the benefit of that? You can experience that. That is the visual benefit. Second is you are not spending your time, you are not spending labor, you are not spending schedule, and you are not spending any extra cost into that. So product design and manufacturing collections plays a big role into all the segments of these sub-industries and the process. Next, please. So it starts with the design and engineering. Anything, just imagine anything or any building we decide need to create. First thing is ideation. And from ideation, it starts with design and then it goes to engineering. When everything is finalized, it is been released for manufacturing in that product area, or it is been released for the construction for the AEC area. Next, please. Yeah. So when I talk about design, particularly PDMC, product design, manufacturing and collection, plays a role for the mechanical design. It is having specialized design tools. iLogic is for design automation, as I've been saying. Then AnyCAD. Autodesk doesn't say that you must use only their application. It is quite open who are using other applications, and that's why it is saying any CAD. That means if you are using any third-party CAD applications, you can incorporate all this data into the platform and still can do some editing. Then BIM interoperability. That's when you have one industry called AEC, another industry called PDMs, design and manufacture. So there should have some exchange of information, and it should be seamless. So this is where BIM interoperability comes into the picture, and it is quite useful for the companies or organizations who are into the building industry, or also who are into the equipment manufacturer industry, which is finally getting fitted into the building. Next, please. So it is a combination of 2D and 3D. So no matter we talk about 3D, we talk about digital twin, digital prototyping. End of the day, when it is about production or into the shop floor or into the construction field, we need 2D, and we cannot really neglect that fact. But what is important that there is a real-time synchronizations between 2D and 3D is quite important, so that if anything has been changed into the 3D model, that should then and there, without any delay, should propagate into the 2D, so that any designers, whatever changes are making in their office, that should propagate and can be taken care by the product team or manufacturing team or the construction team or the field execution team. So 2D and 3D synchronization is particularly in place by Autodesk Inventor and AutoCAD. Next, design automation. As I said, like it is, there are lots of or thousands of designs where geometry doesn't change, but the size changes. You can see this in example like the conveyor. Definitely the geometry may not change in 5 years until or unless there is a design changes in need, but the size gets changed depending upon the shop floor or the building it is getting fitted into. And therefore, we need a system to reduce the design cycle. So only if we have an option or designers have an option, you key in the dimension and your model gets changed. That is the optimum way to reduce the design cycle. And Autodesk Inventor provides you that by means of iLogic. Next. So it is engineering too. It is having inbuilt 1.2 million standard parts, starting from screws, bolts, springs, then bearing, and also it does the engineering calculation for you. That's mean whatever you are designing, it is guided by the standard engineering book. It is not by your choice. So that first of all, you are reducing the designers is spending less time on the standard item, and it is perfect okay in terms of engineering application at the first go. Next. Collaboration. I think we have been talking about collaboration a little bit more. So it's a cloud-based design review, a simple thing, even for a company of 10 to 12. And nowadays it is more important because most of us are working from our place. It doesn't matter. You don't need to be in the same geographical place. People can be anywhere. Even the collaboration can happen between two people when you are working in the design. What does it mean? It's a secure distribution. Somebody can view the design of the drawing, and does not necessarily that person would be the designer. That person doesn't need the costly license, can just do markup and comment. Let's say for an example, we are the technical people in data solutions. We do the technical work, but Yap or some business leader needs to comment something. We can send the document that those person doesn't need the software, but still can be part of the process and comment as required. So same thing goes for any kind of design you do. Markup and comment, and finally, somebody can do some measurement and walkthrough is also possible, absolutely without any additional cost. That is quite important. Next. So it is quite fascinating to make some nicely looking lucrative product, but end of the day it's all about engineering, right? Whatever we design, it needs to be thermally, buckling wise, non-linear wise, stress and strain wise, suitable for the purpose for what it has been made. And this is where this engineering validation comes into the picture. So what these softwares and platform does for you is you design, you define the actual boundary conditions. Boundary conditions mean actual real-time scenario. Let's say you are designing a plate and you know 50 Newton force needs to come onto it almost 24 hours. You can create all these forces and the time and see how the plate is going to behave. Is it going to be sustainable? I need to make it thicker. I need to make it lighter. What kind of material can be used? If just imagine if you don't have this system is in place, you design something, you create something, you waste your money, you waste your time, and you feel, oh no, it's not going to work for the purpose it has been designed. So you are eliminating numerous amount of effort and time wastage by doing the simulation even before it being released for the production. Next, electromechanical. So any system in the world, apart from some consumer product, needs electrical and mechanical to work together, right? Whether it is a television, freezer, your car, and nowadays even we're talking about smartphones, smart shoes, everything. So Autodesk product design, manufacturing, and collections provide you that platform where electrical and mechanical design works together in parallel, and any changes have been made into any side of the industries are being cohesively synchronized in real time, so that the chances of error are less. Next. Now, if we move from the design and engineering to the production, what are the benefits we can see by using this? Next, documentation. So we all know, I think anybody is in engineering have seen all these crazy figures with the tolerance and the GD&T values. It sounds quite intelligent for the engineers, but not for everybody. Even for the engineers, for the critical or big drawing, it is quite complex, right? And we have been dealing with this for last 25 to 40 years almost. So we never had a system to see all the things into the 3D. It has always been 2D. And we need to use our imagination and visualizations power to interpret all these drawings and then make it. So definitely when you do that, it's a human, there are chances of errors. And now with the help of software and technology, we can do all these dimensions, GD and T, in the 3D model itself. So the benefit is definitely you can visualize. It is more easy for anyone, even from the person who is not from the engineering, can really see the model and interpret and can make the things the way it should be, most importantly, and without less chance of errors. Next. Tolerance analysis, again, I will not go into the detail, like from the mechanical engineers, it is quite important that what is the plus and minus value should be in the limits, especially for the precision engineering. It is inbuilt in the software. Next. CAM. So this was the story about production up till drawing. Now, whatever we design, it needs to be made, right? So for making, definitely the machining is in place, but this is called CAM, computer-aided machining or manufacturing, starting from 2.5 to 5 axis. So just think about a scenario of a helmet or the sink we use in our building, right? These are complex in the shape. It's probably easy to design, but it's not really easy to manufacture. First of all, the shape and also the precision requirement of that. So it demands sophisticated manufacturing in the place. And this is where CAM comes into the picture, where you need 5 axis means basically, I'll not go into the detail. You need the machine to rotate in all the axes to gain the shape of that with the proper precision. So Autodesk solutions provide a single unified platform again to create it, design, and take it into the CAM or manufacturing environment to do the machine simulations and so on. So that again, the idea is you don't spend your machining time, costly tooling time. You can simulate all these things beforehand. Next. Nesting, so especially it is quite useful for the building manufacturers or sheet metal fabricators. So it does the sheet metal layout for the optimizations or less wastage of the material. Not only that, it gives you again the possible programmable capacity. Yeah, so it's basically CNC turret punch press or CNC machines to make it proper at the first go by using minimum to minimum wastage and maximum productivity. Next. Then factory design. So if you can see, we make the building, and the building could be for personal use, which is kind of your goal, I understand. But for the factory also, it is quite important to analyze the process and use the space, because space is more costly, right? To create a optimum or better assembly line. And then again, nowadays we don't need to do that by using our own experience. The software can, sorry, okay, the software can do that for yourself. Next. So now I'll come into the most interesting factor for you, probably building products and fabrication. Next. So we are the intersection of AEC and manufacturing. Like we are together perfectly positioned, and then we are living in an era where we can build anything anywhere that is practically possible, and also those things, those items can be used anywhere in the world with no meaning by the functionality or by the concept of modular designing. And when you do that, that's that's the manufacturing part of it. But when you design that, you need to, there are two parts. You need to do the ideation, you need to fit that preliminary model into the design of the building, and also at the same time you need it to be made, and to make it you need the design and engineering calculation or validation of this model. So manufacturing softwares can do it for you. On the same time, the lighter version of that can be fit into the Revit or building model. So again, it's a collaboration, exchanging of information within your office, within your client, within your vendor, within your subcon, main con, suppliers, developers, anyone. And I'll rather than talking, I'll show you a good example of that. Next slide. So this was the, on the left side, you can see that was the traditional workflow. It was the architect generally decides to make a building. Those architects or developers create catalog, then building design has come into the place, and then construction, and then the project delivery, right? It's a linear, it's mostly one way, and definitely you can see, you don't need to wait for me to say that there would be a numerous amount of chance of error, and also things or the project get lost within the cycle. Now, when it is about collaboration, definitely the requirement of input doesn't get minimized, right? It is increasing day by day. We need a system to make it bi-directional collaboration, so everybody can give their input and also incorporate all the changes raised by anyone. And this is where BIM came into the picture, whether you are architect, your project delivery team, construction team, design and agility team, and also you, if you are building product manufacturers, you can give your input and work together. So this is the overall idea. And this is where manufacturing and AEC comes into one place as a unified platform. Next. Yeah, so this is nothing but Revit to Autodesk Inventor link. Revit is, I think we don't need to talk about Revit. Most of us, we know. And Autodesk Inventor is the manufacturing software. Next. So design visualization. So whatever we make, next slide. We need a sophisticated system to render it, to present it in a nice way, so that non-technical people can see into it without any trouble and can feel it. So this is where design review comes into the picture. And also next slide. When it is about marketing and technical publication, the model needs to be appealing, right? Whatever seen is good, it's sold quickly, right? So for that, you need to do the rendering. And yeah, so rendering option is also over there. Now, generative design I have been talking about. So generative design, next slide, is nothing but a design options given by the software rather than by the engineer. So if you can see on the left side, this figure was made of 8 components, in the right side, the software given the design by calculating the boundary conditions or the requirement. So it's a bionic design. Again, that doesn't take away the need of designers or engineers. At the end of the day, you still need to be able to decide which one is the better design for you. So instead of we or you design it manually by using your experience, software is giving the options, and these options are in thousands based on the bionic concept. The benefit, it is 40% lighter for this scenario and 20% stronger. But on the other side, it may sound like, okay, it is easy, but it's not easy to manufacture. You don't need to worry. We have additive manufacture, we have subtractive manufacturing in place. So for that, with that, making all these designs are not a problem anymore. And also, it is most of the time, or nowadays, it is still I mean, it is cost effective. Still, there are some room for improvement, but we are almost there. Next. Yes, Autodesk Beam software works with other Beam softwares by IFC Exchange. I'll talk about it later. So if you can see, this is a bike and you need to create some preservers or hanger for the wheel. And then you define all the boundary conditions. And then it is telling you, okay, these are the objectives, these are the forces needed. You generate the part for me. And Fusion 360 is creating all these parts for you. There's thousands of iteration based on that. And based on, apart from that, when you apply the filter, you can choose the right part and make it color. So technically, it can be manufactured anywhere in the world and then transported back to the bike manufacturers. All these are not any problem anymore. And also somebody can customize it as per their own choice by colors or by some further little bit more modification. So this is the benefit, business benefit of generative design, but that is also bundled with PDMC. So next slide. So yeah, I think we talked about interoperability. So it gives you generative design, mechanical design, design validation with simulation, computer-aided manufacturing, and also it helps you to create the marketing content. Next. So in total, it gives you Autodesk Inventor for 3D, Naston for analysis, CAM for manufacturing, 2D for AutoCAD, factory design for your factory floor, and also Fusion 360 for generative design. Now, 3ds Max is for your rendering. Now, top of this, you can see this Autodesk Vault. This is for your entry-level collaborations. Ideally, for 2 to 4 engineers are working. It is specially designed for the small and medium enterprises, and it goes more than that. So with that, I think we can stop the presentation. So we have 10 minutes left. Rest of the time, so we can use for Q&A. Yeah, I have seen a couple of wonderful questions. So let's take it one by one. My team has some knowledge about AutoCAD and SolidWorks for the designs of molds. How long can he be trained for the professional user? Okay, if somebody knows AutoCAD and SolidWorks, we can guarantee them to train on Inventor, on Autodesk Inventor within 3 to 5 days, if given an opportunity with the right mind. We are setting up a SCADA remote technology into our water treatment plant and want to create a dashboard where all the data is collected and displayed. Is there something Autodesk can help in? Yes, Autodesk can help in into that, but not by any of the solutions we showed you today. For that, again, it's a part of what you are doing is a bigger picture. It's more into the IoT side. We are glad to talk about it in one-on-one. We have some systems, or Autodesk has some system rather. what are the some example of generative design possibilities that are in Fusion for house? Okay, so maybe the rebars or the facade, or even if you are designing some your shrink or toilet basins, all these things can be designed by using generative design by Fusion 360. Yes, Jenny, we can do that. Yep. Okay. So, yep, you would like to talk a little bit about as a closing note?
Yeah, so just wanted to add to the question on the generative design. So usually for your walls, you will have frames to provide stability and strength to the structure. So using generative design will give you the opportunity to optimize the level of strength and the number of frames you need for the minimum level of strength and stability you are looking for.
Yeah.
So usually generative design will help you minimize the usage of material whilst still maintaining integrity and stability. So
And
that would certainly be doable for reusable walls or prefab walls for affordable housing.
Yeah. And by the way, for that you can use Fusion 360, but we have one more solution which is more suited for building called Revit Refinery.
Yes. Yeah. So I think there's a ton of good questions. So I would ask Kat to, if we can get a transcript of the questions, then we can circle back with answers to all of those questions in sort of a Q&A to the entire audience. And then with your help, Kat, we would extend our invitation for each of the attendees to connect with us separately if they were interested in any follow-up actions or free training.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll do that.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, these are wonderful questions, and it sounds like you're really up for it. So keep them coming, and we're excited and glad to work with you. The only thing we'd say that if you are quite sincere about it, let's choose a project and start working together so that it is beneficial for you, and also we can create a very good success story for you.
I think that was it from our side, Kat, unless you were looking for something else for us to provide the team and the group with.
No, I think that's great. I was wondering, I think do we have an end poll?
Yes.
Okay.
Roy,
would you like us to launch that that closing poll now?
I think there are 2 questions. So do you want both questions or just the last one?
Sorry, what was that? I may have missed it.
I think we have just 2 more poll questions for the end of the session.
Oh, okay. Please go ahead.
Yeah,
Right.
but there are 2 poll questions. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
The line broke a second, so I missed a word.
Yeah, same for me. Yeah, okay.
All right, I'll be launching the first one now.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we have one more to go, right? 2 questions.
Yes, one more question. Here we go, launching now.
Yes.
Well, I hope the answer is yes. So Kat, in closure, if you could provide us with a transcript of all of the chats, then we can extrapolate all the questions. We can do a formal Q&A in a document, send it to you and all the participants, and that could then be the start of additional interaction as and when needed.
Sure, happy to do that. Yeah. So great. I think we have 10 answers already on our poll. So thank you, everyone. So just before we end today's session, I do want to announce that, the DayTech team has been very generous and is willing to give 2 one-on-one sessions to each of the teams in our ShelterTech cohort. So Yap, do you want to share a little bit more about what those sessions will be like?
Yeah, so absolutely happy to do that. We were thinking that those organizations that were already familiar with a CAD system doesn't necessarily need to be Autodesk. They might be willing to have a closer look at some of the Autodesk solutions, and then our team would be willing to train them. So after an intake, we would decide together what would be the best part of the Autodesk portfolio to start with, and then basically train them 2 days for free on that particular solution. Then with the potential outcome that they could see their way clear through using that solution in one of their upcoming projects, and then we would re-engage with each other going forward.
Great, thanks so much. So our team will coordinate with each of the startups regarding this, and so we'll also send over, this detailed list of questions and send back the answers from the DayTech team.
Yeah, we'll use you as a point of contact, right? Just to make it easy for everybody. And then we will elaborate on the offer on paper as well with the Q&A answers, so you can send it out to all participants.
And I would like to add something to this. So again, for the entire cohort, right, Autodesk will give free products. So if in case you feel that you saw a product which would fit your company, please let us know as well. And then I guess we could, get in touch as well. Plus, I just received the announcement that each of you will receive an Autodesk mentor. So there will be a high engagement also in the next weeks.
Yeah, thanks, Lizen, for that. Yeah, so the arrangement is Autodesk will provide you, if you are interested, free application, access to free applications, and our local resource will pair up with you based on your interest. We will discuss, suggest you the right solutions. We'll do a couple of free trainings for you, and then we take it from there. We expect you to pick a pilot project, and then we create on that. Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense. And let's just do it like this, dear startups. If you're interested, please get in touch.
Yes, that's the bottom line.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Okay, thank you, everyone. And thanks, everyone, for engaging in our chat box with all of your questions. We will get in touch after today's session. So looking forward to all the great things that you'll be able to do with these Autodesk solutions.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule and attending this session.
All right. Thank you so much, Yap, Roy,
Thanks.
and Edwin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
All bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Hi, Lisa.